I am here on an investigation. Is art school in our God's year 2024, a post-COVID world, is art school still worth it? People have always asked me over the years, is art school worth it? And in general, I have mixed feelings, and usually I say yes, but there's so much more to it than that. And I really only have my own experience, so how can I just give like a general answer, right? I went to Sheridan College for my Bachelor of Animation like 6 years ago, and so much has changed since then. The industry is not what it was 5 years ago. The default of getting a degree is not quite so strong and present as it was. So now everything deserves like a second look. Really see if we're just getting scammed by big school to spend a lot of money to go to school. So I asked my Instagram followers what their opinion of their art school was, and I've gotten over like hundreds of messages from students, professionals, teachers, and now I see so many more perspectives and understand all the common denominators amongst everybody. So I'm gonna give you the TLDR of all of those answers in this video, and I'll be telling you my personal thoughts about art school. Obviously, art school is very expensive. If it was cheap and affordable, I would be telling you, of course, go to art school. It's the best way to learn and it's a lot of fun. But since 1 year at Cal Arts is 55,000 USD, we have to consider all the pros and the cons. My yearly tuition was about 10,000 Canadian, and my last year was free, thanks OSAP. But for international students, it was 30K, which is crazy, I think. So I was able to afford to go to school, and I'm happy I did. So I'll be answering questions like, well, can't I learn everything online? And do I really have to go to art school to get a job? So let me tell you about my experience with art school first. From 2014 to 2018, I went to the most prestigious animation school in Canada because it was like an hour from my hometown. Going to a college or university was kind of the mandatory next step for me and my family, especially coming from like an immigrant family. So starting animation school, I was 18, fresh-faced, I didn't know anything about art. I was bad at art, I didn't know anything about the animation industry or about where I wanted my life to go in general. We learned the basics about art and animation, and we even learned how to animate on paper, which is super outdated. But in my second year, I started to make friends as I spent a lot more time in the studio. And in my third year, I really discovered that I wanted to pursue character design specifically. In my fourth year, I was making my thesis short film. I had guidance from teachers, but in general, I didn't really take their advice very well because my short film was a little different from the norm short films that were coming out of Sheridan at the time. And that is my entire college experience in a nutshell. So was my art school experience worth it? Absolutely. I would not have gotten to where I am today without those 4 years of college, and I'm gonna tell you why. Structure and discipline. As a fresh-faced 18-year-old, I didn't even know what to study. I didn't know anything about nothing. My next 4 years was super structured so I'd get the full, broadest learning experience in the field of animation. Taking so many classes was really helpful because I really learned what I love to do, and it also helped me learn what classes I hated. Like, I really loved character design because my character design teacher was super impactful to me, really taught me like the love and value of character design, while my 3D teacher was like super lousy and didn't teach me anything, and I hated that class and I knew I did not want to pursue 3D. With set deadlines, set classes, I really had the motivation to complete all the assignments due to pressure from like teachers, peers, and the cost of tuition, obviously. Could I have found all these same classes online for the fraction of the cost? Probably. But there's two things that make it so much more difficult. One is that you need to know what classes you even want to take. I didn't even know what classes I needed to take in this industry, what classes I wanted to take, what classes would actually help me in my career path. So how could I like even find that online? And number two is motivation. Without structure and pressure, I would not have been able to finish all these assignments. Like, I've been trying to learn Blender for years and I can barely open the app and look up tutorials, even though they're free online. It's just that finding that self-motivation is so difficult, and maybe you're different than me, but if you're anything like me, then that is very tough. Okay, next topic, technique. Alongside with structure, I think that understanding the basics of art is fundamental before narrowing in on a specific field. Like, if you were to find a course on character design, they might jump into the design basics or storytelling. But then you missed out on things that you think you know, but that really need to be hammered into your brain, even though you don't really want to learn it. Like the very fundamental understanding of anatomy, like knowing how the bones and the skull works, understanding how the muscles function in the body. Maybe you haven't taken figure drawing classes. Maybe you don't understand how drapery folds and connects yet. Getting the base understanding of fundamental techniques and stuff like that is very boring and it's difficult to learn. So unless you have that structure of someone making you do it, it's very difficult to pursue that on your own, I think. Before we get into the next point, let me tell you about today's sponsor. For the past 7 years or so, I've been using Squarespace to host my portfolio website. I love it because I don't need to know any coding at all. I can go and I can customize it just the way I want, and then I could look through hundreds of different templates that Squarespace has, and you know I love Brian. I also host my online store through Squarespace, where I can customize it, have a very clean look, make it look very professional, which is very important for the customer experience, for the customer's trust to your website. And best of all, I get to let my customers choose many forms of payments from Stripe, PayPal, or Square. So go ahead and check out Squarespace today, and you can use my code JackieDrushko for an additional 10% off your first website or domain. Community. There was really only a handful of teachers that really motivated and pushed me and taught me a lot. And similar with classes, like life drawing is something that you do for 3 hours a class, and after enough weeks, obviously you're gonna get better. But some classes were a complete waste of time. So looking back, I really see what taught me the most, and that is the other students. Being in an environment with eager to learn students coming from all different backgrounds, all in one cesspool of learning, is the perfect breeding ground for learning. We all spent most of our time in the animation studio doing our homework. People would bring in their favorite art books and share it with each other. If I had trouble with perspective on an assignment, I'd ask a student that has a lot more knowledge than I do, and then maybe when they had issue with anatomy or something in their characters, I would offer them advice. Everyone was so willing to learn and teach and help each other all the time. Going to school also is the place where you learn to collaborate. And this is one of the only places where you really understand those stepping stones and you really get put into that environment where you have to work on a team, which is very helpful in the animation industry because obviously that's the whole thing with filmmaking. Community is something that you just can't get from learning online. It's isolating. And that is one of the main things that I really appreciate from going to an art school. And now that I'm working in the industry, I'm working with the same students that I went to school with. It's a very small industry. You're gonna be working and collaborating with the same people throughout your entire life. Which brings me to my next point, feedback. So yes, you can watch YouTube videos to learn how to draw, but the most important thing that you're not getting from it is feedback and critique. If you're serious at improving, you really need someone else who knows more than you to come in and rip your art to shreds. How else are you going to get to that next level in art without seeing it from a different perspective? When you're paying for art school, you're paying for the structure, for learning technique, for the community, but you're also paying for someone who has so much more knowledge than you, someone who's hopefully a master at their craft, to analyze your work and tell you how you can improve. Receiving critiques will always take you to the next level. In my first few years, I remember how getting critique felt so personal, like an attack, and it was very scary to get. But after so many years, I see critique and feedback as a guiding light, an outside perspective on your art. It's like hitting the gold mine. And learning how to receive critique is really preparing you for the working field. Accepting feedback, being a good collaborator is really important soft skill to have as an artist in the animation industry. So if you're looking at online tutorials and courses, I really recommend choosing ones that have instructor feedback, and I'll share some resources a little bit later on that. Another thing you can do if you're going the online learning route is find a mentor, which I think is extremely helpful. You're finding a master in their specific field, someone you really look up to, and they're guiding you on how you can specifically get better and improve along your own art journey. For example, Brooklyn Walker has an amazing character design mentorship, which I highly recommend. Not only is she a great person and a great coworker to me, but she is an excellent teacher. But Jackie, I want to get a mentorship from you. What was that? You want a mentorship from me? Well, you're gonna have to check back in a couple months maybe October. So the question remains, will art school really help me get a job? Art school gives you a few things, and amongst those is networking. You're going to be networking with fellow students, you're going to be networking with teachers who are currently in the industry or were successful in their industry. You get their wisdom, you get their knowledge, and you get the push from the school itself. Like my school had an industry day at the end of the 4-year program where a bunch of studios from all over the country would come in, watch our thesis films, and they would give like jobs to students on the spot. I think most of my graduating class got a job on industry day. Also, there's something about like visas, like if you're applying for a US visa for work, it kind of helps to have a degree, but I don't know enough about that to tell you anything about that. Next question, can't I learn everything online? Here's the thing, you absolutely can learn everything online. When a studio is looking to hire you, they're not looking at what school you went to, they're looking if your portfolio is strong. So if you can't afford school, if you have the discipline to take online courses, if you know exactly what type of courses you need to take to improve, if you're involved in the online art community and are networking and have social media, if you find a good instructor or a mentor to give you feedback and push you forward, and if you're able to keep on a structure and a daily habit of learning and improving, then yes, you could do it all online. It really takes a certain type of person to be able to do that, and when I was young and I didn't really know anything, like that would not have been a good option for me. But now that I'm older, I'm already established, I know what I need to look for, I can definitely go back and take a few online courses here and there and, have instructor feedback and learn like that. God, I hope I learn Blender one day. So take everything I said and really categorize yourself and see if you would thrive in going to art school or if you would thrive in online self-learning. Okay, survey results. When I reached out to my Instagram, 64% of people, which is about 500 people, said that they would recommend going to art school. The ones that had positive experiences really tested it to that their teachers were amazing, they had great connection to their peers, and the structure of their courses were very valuable. At the end of the day, I really think each school is different and you should really do your research on which school you want to go to. So when most of the professionals in the industry reached out to me, they mostly said that in retrospect, it was definitely worth it to get to like where they are today in their careers. But everyone who's a professional that I was talking to is, went to school over 5 years ago, and school has definitely changed since then, and tuition has really gotten more expensive. So here's the key points that were constantly coming up in my DMs. Great stepping stone into the industry. A portfolio will carry someone much further than a degree. Surrounded by like-minded people push you further. When we were in art school, there weren't online opportunities like there are today. School isn't the only pathway to success. School helped to learn about what you want to do just as much as what you don't want to do. Invaluable to learn from pro artists and receive their feedback. Peers taught them more than teachers. It's obvious who has art foundation skills and who doesn't. So this is a lot of information from a lot of different perspectives. There's not one correct way to do this. So I encourage you to look outside of what I'm supposed to do in like a path of normal life and look outside that box and challenge that. So if you're going down the self-learning route, here are some websites that will help you get started and that I highly recommend. Starting off with the best types of courses ranging from a few $100s to $1,000. These are the types of courses that range from like weekend workshops to like 8-10 week courses with instructor feedback, where you're going to be networking with the teacher and networking with your co-students and stuff like that. I love Warrior Art Camp. I love the people who run it. I love the types of classes they have, all from industry professionals in animation. The class sizes are small, perfect for personalized feedback. CGMA has great long-term courses like this 8-week course where you could sign up to complete assignments and get feedback from the instructor. The site has all things about the animation industry like character design, environment design, storytelling, storyboarding, etc. Brainstorm School has long courses, workshops, mentorships, etc. I took Cat's Eye's famous Color and Light course a few years ago, and I highly recommend it if you're looking to improve your background painting skills. And then we have monthly learning subscription sites like Schoolism from our very own Canadian Bobby Chu, co-creator of Lightbox Expo. So here you can either join live 8-ish week classes with instructor feedback or subscribe monthly to access all the class recordings. And then you have smaller courses that have no instructor feedback like DOMESTIKA, where you can subscribe and access all of the courses, including mine on creating character designs. So you could check that out if you want. And at long last, you have the free option of YouTube. Remember, paying a few $1,000s on a few intentional courses is a huge savings compared to $50K in yearly tuition. Some YouTube channels I recommend for learning is Proco and Mark Brunett for character art, Victor Steris for digital painting, FZD School for video game concept art, Ben Marriott for all things After Effects and motion design, Alpay FA for traditional character painting, and Blender Guru for learning Blender. And comment below if I missed some of your favorite YouTube teachers. So in the end, is art school worth it? It definitely can be if you know you need that extra guidance, you need a community to thrive, and you can afford to do so. But if you already have a foundation and you know exactly what you need to learn to push you to that next level, then you can absolutely learn everything online. It's nuanced and there's no right answer. So thank you for listening to my extensive essay. I'd love to hear your opinions on art school, if you've been to art school, if you're going to art school right now, or even if you're taking online courses instead. So comment your thoughts below and like and subscribe. Don't forget about that. Okay, and that's it for me. Thanks everyone. Bye.